We want revolution.
Bookmarklets on standby.
Log online, fan page loaded and ready.
Player stats, loaded. Health check, go.
Weapons check. Eyes check, complete.
We have launched for the Informant podcast in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Okay, welcome to the Informant podcast. I'm Pistol Pete from Stockholm. Tonight I have with me Jen, the Mafia Wars loot lady. We're actually doing something a little weird tonight. I ended up having to take on a third shift, so we've got to recording very, very late in the evening, and it's kind of forced Jana out of the picture for this evening, trying to get her son ready for the last day of school. So
She couldn't hang. Stay up this late.
Burn the midnight oil. So yeah, so we're just plugging away. So what's going on? Anything new?
Lots of new stuff.
Other than new in the game.
Oh.
Nothing?
I don't really know anything in life except for the game. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
But really, no. What about with you besides this third shift business?
Well, most of it's been baseball. We've had a lot of baseball. My oldest and my youngest are both playing, so we've been busy doing all kinds of baseball stuff. Practices and games, and yeah, it's just some wins, some losses. So.
And that's life.
Yep, just like life.
And
life
Mafia
is like
Wars.
baseball. And Mafia Wars, true. Yeah, and then we had kind of a bump in the road. We had some bad storms that came through our area, and the Stockholm's, well, not all the Stockholm stuff was down, but the toolbar was affected as a result of it. We had, to kind of explain the way we've got things set up, we have, some of the stuff's hosted. The primary servers are hosted by Martin with regard to the spocklets. A lot of the database stuff is hosted by me. And then we have the toolbar that actually sits out in the cloud. So while the toolbar was working just fine, the back-end databases that drive the list of spocklets that are available was what was failing. So I think Martin had made some changes to the code to hopefully retain some of that stuff if that should happen again. But, we're not down all that often. But, I made a post on our wall. It's just, this is a hobby for us, and we do our best to keep up 100% of the time, but in reality, we can't always do that. So, it was what it was.
It was a good lesson to go back and have to use scripts.
Find your way back to the Stockholm main page to go add them again to your bookmarklets.
I did.
Bookmarks.
And it's funny because I know there's better workarounds, but I learned that script that Brandon Veneri wrote.
Uh-huh.
And, so I had to play with that again and figure that out and then use all the standalone scripts.
Yeah. Well, and a lot of people are used to using even the standalone scripts, but they're so easy to get to in the toolbar with just the search feature or whether or not you've already got them saved in your list. So it just was, yeah.
Well, I think it makes you appreciate what you have because it really affects your game when you don't have that toolbar and you don't really feel like playing.
Right.
And I found myself I had full stamina and I was just like, I'll do it when I wake up. And that's not really like me.
Right. Yeah,
So.
I found myself looking for a repeat job in Brazil, and I was like, okay, I guess I'll click manually.
Yeah.
And it wasn't the end of the world, because a lot of time I actually do play my energy manually, so that wasn't a big change, but sometimes I like to see the stats, and I don't know if I talked about it on one of the shows or not, but in Repeat Job 2, we added some statistics on the bandits themselves, like how many bandits during your run you experience and the different types of bandits. And so that's always kind of interesting to see that kind of stuff. And so, I look for some of that, see if there's any weird patterns and stuff like that. So,
Speaking of that, it's really weird. Lately, it doesn't seem like there's as many bandits.
yeah.
That's just me, but I've seen other people say that too.
Yeah, I'm sure there's some magic formula that they've got in place that says so many that appear, then don't have them show for this long, and then they come back again. And
I know what their secret code is right now.
oh yeah,
They're saying, "Oh shit, they're still using scripts."
yeah,
Doesn't work.
it didn't stop them quite the way we had hoped. Yeah,
So maybe they'll do away with them because they really just annoy people.
yeah, yeah.
Their function isn't. If and I don't even know for sure it was designed to stop scripts. That's just a popular rumor.
I bet in part that was part of the effect of it. I mean, it was meant to slow things down. Mm-hmm. And it does do that. Even with the scripts, it does cause, one extra step that has to be done, even at the script level, to either decide to eliminate it or just wait on it, so that you don't waste your queued people if you use that jump feature. But yeah, it's more. I think it's just more of an annoyance, and I don't think anything that you do added to the game that becomes more of an annoyance is of any benefit to the future of this game.
To them either, because if that's like the last, what's that saying? The straw on the camel's back?
The straw that broke the camel's back?
Yeah, that.
Yeah.
If it's something as stupid as a bandit.
Yeah.
And that person would potentially spend $10, $20 every week, they just lost some money.
Right.
But I don't think they think that way.
I don't either.
I don't know what their money-making scheme is. But based on the actions they take, you can't figure it out.
Nope. It's confusing. So, and I'm trying to think. I don't think since last time we really talked about much change in Stockholm. There was, the features added to the toolbar we've discussed before. I know there's a few more being talked about in the hopper that I think people are going to really like. But other than that, I don't know if there's anything else right now to discuss over at Stockholm, at least. So,
what do you think people are going to like? I'm trying to think what you're talking about.
Well, the other one. Okay, so all right, I'll give a little teaser. I'm not sure if it's going to happen because there's a lot of stuff that has to change in order for it to happen. But one of the things that's been toyed with is the idea of taking the checklist and combining it into the toolbar, so you could actually launch your checklist, and then it would just be a pop-up window that would come up underneath the current toolbar, and then that would allow you to manage and track timings on things, because that's what the checklist was, the biggest feature of it, and you'd be able to actually run your checklist from the actual toolbar instead of it being completely separate. I mean, it could still be a separate spocklet, but it'd also be incorporated in the toolbar.
I like that idea.
Yeah, so I kind of hope that's something we can get to happen, but, as with anything, when you start looking at it, you're like, well, if we do this, then what's the ramifications? And so, you got a lot of give and take you're trying to figure out to see, is this going to work the way that we anticipate? But it has been discussed.
Yeah, well, that is, when I started using the toolbar, I found that I kind of stopped going to the checklist.
Yeah.
Because it was just like an extra step, and I'm horrible about timers and all that anyways. So even if I know it's time, like if I'm really focused on something, I'm not going to stop and go do it. Because what happens when I stop and go do that, then I'm going to get distracted by something else, and it's just a big cycle. So if it was more convenient and in your face, I would probably use it a lot more.
Yeah, I know what it was, and it wasn't actually something that I came up, it wasn't, when it first came up, it wasn't something specifically that I had thought of. It was something that Mindy Phillips had said. She was asking about whether or not we could write something that would go ahead and automatically buy the health reallocation for you. And while we could do that, that's something that would be a better feature for the checklist, because then you make the decision to go ahead and enact that. We've always been very cautious about entering into anything that makes reward point purchases on behalf of a player. So even like the property manager, which will help you craft, that was probably the biggest foray into spending reward points at the user's request. But so we've always been kind of cautious about that. But then I thought, as I was thinking about it, I was like, that is a checklist. That would be a good checklist feature. That would be one that you would add, once you know the code to do a specific reallocation, then that would be easy to put in your checklist, and then just have it remind you every, 24 hours to go in and do it, because she was running, forgetting when, what time of day it refreshes and that kind of stuff.
Uh-huh.
So anyway.
Are you talking about the VIP skill reallocation?
Right, because it's there every day.
Yeah.
So, and even with the notifications, the problem with the notifications are You get notifications all day long, every day, even if you've already used it.
Well, I turned that off because of that.
Exactly. So this is where the checklist would be a good feature. I mean, good place to host a solution to remind you every 24 hours to go check your marketplace and check your reallocation.
I actually bought that today.
I've been buying it. I've actually been, like I talked about one show, I'm actually dumping out some of my stamina in lieu of energy. So, although I'm still hoarding my skills.
That's funny. You know what I did one time? I bought that skill point reallocation, and at the time I wanted to build energy. So I was building attack. So I took from my energy and I put it in attack. And then I had set my goal, and now I wanted to build on my energy, and it was like the next one that came available. I took from my health and put it into energy. And I was just like, well, I shouldn't have done it the other way the first time.
Yeah.
So now I'm just crafting those warthogs all the time, and when I use it, I take from health.
Yep.
I just don't want to give up my other skills.
Yeah, I hear you. I've been pondering that too, but I got a lot of stamina, and when I tried in a level, energy's the way faster way to go. So.
Yeah.
So what's going on in the rest of the game?
Oh, lots of stuff.
Lay it on us.
Well, one thing I noticed is they've been kind of listening to the community in regards to this property module thing. And so just, little things we complained about, like on the last show, we were complaining about, or at least I was, the fact that the property, limited time property wasn't the default. And then I kept forgetting to ask for parts. Like they changed that around. They reverted back to the 18-hour timer. I'm not sure if we mentioned that or not. So now you can craft, instead of 6 every 24 hours, it's 5 every 18. They changed the property timers back to what they were in the past, which made everyone happy until you realize the way it works. It doesn't work like the past because there's no shifting to be done. You have 21 properties, which are global properties. You can craft from 6 of them or 5 of them a day, every 18 hours. I'm confusing myself. But what happens is the reward point cost will reduce as the timer goes down. And once you speed up 5 items, every timer will go back to 12 reward points. And so basically it's kind of like with the theory to buy energy refills to get skill points. That's not going to get you ahead. You're actually just paying to get them a little bit faster, and you're going to get them anyways.
Right.
That theory now applies to the properties. Now, if you're going to craft 12, 12, 12 to get the skill points, that's fine. But if you're going to speed them up just to get them sooner, it's a waste of money. And someone did point out on my blog, it was funny because after I made the post, I had waited for the 5 properties to be 1 reward point each. So I spent 5 reward points, and I said, well, that was just a waste because in an hour I could have got them free. And then somebody commented it was well worth 5 reward points to go to bed an hour earlier. And I laughed because that's what you do in this game sometimes. Like you want to go to bed, but you see one of your timers is like 45 minutes away. You're like, yeah, and then you see another one, and then you're up till 7 in the morning.
Yep.
When you had wanted to go to bed at 2. And it just kind of made me laugh that's like how this game is. But you have to realize if you're just purchasing it early to get the skill points, you're not really saving because you're just, an hour or 2 on the timer. You're going to get that stuff for free anyways. But buying skill points via crafting properties is the way to go because they're cheaper.
Yeah. I did wish that they would have kept the 6th property. When they first made the change, we could get 6. Then all of a sudden they went back to 5.
If we have 21 of those little suckers, why can't we build for more?
Yeah.
It's just ridiculous. And I guess I'll bring this up now because it fits. But many of you probably noticed a pop-up that the VIP membership program has changed, and now we have little tiers. Sounds very familiar. And the purpose behind it is to prevent people from buying the membership, getting all the loot, and then canceling. So now they're going to reward you for consecutive months. So when you get to your 4th month, which would be in July, if you've been doing this from the beginning, you're going to be a silver member instead of a bronze member. And each of these tiers have different perks.